The divine shift begins here. Son, daughter, stop everything for a moment. Something is happening in your life that you have not been able to explain. You feel the weight in your chest before you wake up. You feel battles in your mind that no one sees. You feel fear rising in moments when nothing around you is dangerous. And you have wondered why your soul feels tired, why your thoughts feel scattered, why your heart has been asking for help in silence. This is not random. I'm guiding you to the truth that you have ignored for too long. You have been living inside patterns that keep stealing your peace, your strength, and your clarity. This is why I brought you to these two Psalms. You were not supposed to reach this video by coincidence. You were led here. There are spiritual doors opening around you, and there are others closing. There are battles you cannot keep fighting alone. Every part of your life that feels heavy has a spiritual root that you need to see. I am calling you into a moment where awareness becomes rescue, where revelation becomes restoration. Only a few understand the power hidden inside these two Psalms. Those who do become unrecognizable because nothing in them stays the same. You exist, and this awareness awakens the part of you that has been numb. You perceive the void, and suddenly the silence inside you begins to speak. You recognize your fall, and the truth confronts what you denied. You cry out for help because pretending to be strong has nearly destroyed you. You become fulfilled by grace, because I am the only one capable of rebuilding what life tried to break. These two Psalms are not a ritual. They are a lifeline. They expose what has been draining you and reveal what I am restoring in you. They uproot the cycles that keep you bound. They become a shield when darkness rises against you. They realign your identity, your purpose, your emotions, and your connection with me. Hear me. You cannot afford to ignore what I am about to reveal. You cannot continue carrying battles that are not yours. You cannot keep waking up in the same pain and expecting a different future. These two Psalms will shift what you believe cannot change. They will move what you thought was immovable. They will bring back the strength you thought you lost. Listen carefully, because this is the moment everything begins to turn. The Psalm that reveals the battle you did not see coming. Son, daughter, you have been fighting a war that your mind tried to explain, but only your spirit can truly understand. You have been calling it stress, calling it tiredness, calling it confusion, calling it emotional overload. Yet none of these names capture the real conflict happening inside you. There is a reason your thoughts feel heavy at night. There is a reason you wake up feeling unprotected. There is a reason your heart tightens when nothing around you is threatening. The unseen has been shaping the visible, and the battles you feel are not coming from the outside. They are rising from deep spiritual wounds left untreated for too long. This first Psalm becomes a mirror that exposes the enemy you never identified. It reveals the discouragement that has been draining you in silence. It reveals the patterns of rejection that shaped your reactions without your permission. It exposes the guilt that keeps returning even after you convinced yourself you were fine. It uncovers the fear of the future that has limited your steps. It confronts the loneliness you hide behind your routine. It reveals the internal accusations that whisper that you are not enough, that you are not strong enough, that you are not worthy of restoration. You did not choose this battle, but you've been carrying its weight every day. Listen with urgency. You cannot defeat what you refuse to acknowledge. Every time you said you were tired for no reason, there was a reason. Every time you felt a sudden wave of fear, there was a root. Every time your heart felt weak without explanation, something in the spiritual realm was pressing against you. And now, through this psalm, I bring you to awareness. I'm exposing what has been attacking your peace. I'm exposing what has been draining your strength. I'm exposing what has been speaking lies into your identity. The plot twist reveals the truth you never considered. The battle you thought was happening around you has actually been unfolding inside your soul. Nothing outside you had enough power to break you, but what remained unresolved within you began shaping your steps, your reactions, your decisions, your emotions. This psalm enters like light into a closed room, revealing everything that tried to remain hidden. It is not exposing you to shame, but to rescue you. You cannot heal what you cannot see. So I am showing you the battle that has been shaping your life in silence. What you're about to understand will break chains you did not know you were wearing. This is where transformation begins. The psalm that breaks the voice of guilt and rebuilds identity. Son, daughter, there is a voice inside you that has been louder than truth, louder than grace, louder than my promises. It is the voice that reminds you of every mistake you made, every moment you failed, every weakness you tried to hide. It is the voice that tells you that you disappointed me, that you disappointed yourself, that you are unworthy of restoration. This psalm enters precisely at this point, where guilt has claimed a territory it was never meant to own. You have been fighting shadows from the past, as if they still define you. You have been carrying burdens that do not belong to you anymore. Listen closely. Guilt is not only an emotion, it is a prison when you do not bring it to me. The enemy uses guilt to keep you quiet, to keep you distant, to keep you believing that you should figure everything out alone. You began to think that your failures disqualified you, that your wounds disfigured your purpose, that your past somehow canceled your future. This psalm breaks that illusion. It confronts every internal accusation and silences the voice that has been telling you that you do not deserve forgiveness. I am the one who forgives. I am the one who restores. I am the one who names you, not the past. This psalm becomes a spiritual reset. It dismantles the lie that your mistakes are stronger than my mercy. It exposes the false narrative that you need to punish yourself before you can feel worthy again. Son, daughter, you are not called to live in a cycle of self-condemnation. Your identity is not built on what happened to you or what you did. Your identity is rebuilt on who I am and what I restore in you. When you listen to this psalm, something begins to shift. The weight on your chest loosens. The accusations lose their authority. The internal voice that once said you were unredeemable begins to fade. You feel confronted, yet deeply understood. I am not revealing your wounds to embarrass you, but to heal you. You were never meant to walk through life believing that your brokenness disqualified my love. This psalm tells you what your guilt has tried to hide. You are still mine, and I have not withdrawn my hand from your life. Your fall is not the end of your story. Your regret is not your identity. Your shame is not your destiny. I am rebuilding you from the inside out. This is the moment where your internal chains begin to break. What you thought was the end is the place where restoration begins. Through this psalm, I restore your name, your value, your belonging, your identity. This is where healing finds you. Daily activation. How listening opens doors. You cannot open alone. Son, daughter, there are doors in your life that have remained closed despite your effort, your discipline, your strength, and your desire to change. You pushed, you tried, you planned, you insisted, yet nothing moved. You believed it was a lack of strategy or opportunity, but what you have been facing is not a natural barrier. It is a spiritual misalignment. This is why listening to these two psalms daily is not a ritual. It is a realignment. It's the moment when your spirit returns to the place where clarity flows, where peace stabilizes, where strength rises, where your identity is not shaken by circumstance. Daily listening is not about repetition, it is about activation. Each time these words enter your soul, your perception begins to shift. The darkness that once felt familiar loses its hold. The thoughts that once controlled your emotions lose their authority. The wounds that once defined your reactions begin to close. Something happens in the unseen when you expose your heart to the truth every day. You break cycles that years of effort never touched. You silence voices that therapy, achievements, or relationships could not quiet. You enter a spiritual atmosphere where healing becomes consistent instead of occasional. You must understand the urgency of this. If you listen one day and neglect the next, the old patterns return with double strength. The enemy always tries to reclaim the ground he once occupied. This is why daily consistency is not optional. It is warfare. It is the moment when you declare that your mind no longer belongs to fear, your heart no longer belongs to guilt, your identity no longer belongs to lies. When you commit to hearing these psalms every day, you create spiritual discipline, emotional stability, and internal clarity. Doors begin to open, not because you forced them, but because I aligned you with what was always yours. Here is the plot twist you never considered. Transformation is not caused by the sound itself. It is caused by the truth entering places where you once allowed pain to speak first. It is caused by the breaking of old mental agreements. It is caused by the renewal of your inner world. These psalms become a spiritual code that reprograms the heart. They rewrite your emotional responses. They rebuild the foundation of your thoughts. They restore what hopelessness tried to erase. You do not only hear the psalms, you become aligned with them. This is the point where your life stops repeating old cycles. The doors you could not open alone begin to move. Your spirit awakens. Your identity strengthens. Your purpose becomes clear. Daily activation is not a suggestion. It is the lifeline pulling you into the future I prepared for you. The turning point. When the Psalms become a weapon of deliverance. Son, daughter, this is the moment where the atmosphere around you changes. Until now, the Psalms have exposed your wounds, confronted your guilt, and awakened your awareness. But here, something far deeper begins to unfold. These two Psalms stop functioning as comfort and start functioning as weapons. This is where my word shifts from revelation to confrontation. Every emotional attack, every spiritual weight, every pattern that has followed you for years begins to lose power when these psalms are spoken over your life with consistency and authority. You have been fighting battles without realizing that the enemy has been studying your vulnerabilities. He knows the moments when your heart weakens. He knows the thoughts that trigger your fear. He knows how to drain your energy until you question your own worth. This is why you cannot rely on your strength alone. You need spiritual weapons. When you listen to these psalms, you are not simply hearing words. You are activating protection. You are surrounding your mind with truth that darkness cannot cross. You are declaring that the battles meant to break you will not decide your destiny. Hear the urgency. When you ignore the protection I am placing over you, you walk unprepared into warfare you cannot win alone. When you treat these psalms as optional, the enemy treats your vulnerability as opportunity. When you allow days to pass without spiritual covering, fear gains a voice, anxiety gains authority, and confusion gains access. These psalms close the doors you forgot were open. They seal the cracks where doubt enters. They silence the whispers that keep trying to call you back into cycles you already escaped. This turning point is dramatic. What once felt like emotional tension is revealed as spiritual oppression. What once felt like random worry is revealed as targeted attack. What once felt like inner weakness is revealed as external influence pressing against your spirit. But the moment these psalms are declared, everything shifts. Oppression loses weight, anxiety loses speed, fear loses reach, confusion loses impact, the enemy loses territory. You stand not as someone trying to survive, but as someone reclaiming authority that was always yours. This is where your spirit grows. You stop reacting and begin resisting. You stop collapsing under pressure and begin standing in truth. You stop fighting alone and begin fighting with the weapons I placed in your hands. Through these psalms, Deliverance is not a possibility. It is a certainty. Every time you listen, chains loosen. Every time you repeat them, darkness retreats. Every time you commit to this discipline, heaven strengthens your steps. This is the turning point where deliverance becomes your reality and not just a hope. Prophetic fulfillment. What God releases when you listen without failing. Son, daughter, this is the moment when everything you have been carrying begins to transform into everything I have been preparing. Consistency is not just discipline, it is alignment with what I have already written about your life. When you listen to these two psalms without failing, you enter a spiritual rhythm that opens what was closed, heals what was wounded, restores what was stolen, and strengthens what was fragile. This is not theory. This is the movement of heaven responding to a heart that returns to me day after day. As these psalms settle into your spirit, emotional healing begins to flow in places where pain once built its home. Memories that carried weight begin to lose their sting. Guilt that once silenced you begins to dissolve. You start to feel safe again, not because circumstances change, but because your spirit finally recognizes who is holding your life. Your identity, once shaken by rejection and fear, becomes anchored in truth. You stop questioning your value. You stop doubting your purpose. You stop giving your past the power to define your future. This is where clarity begins. I show you paths you could not see before. I reveal answers that fear once hid from you. I open doors that effort alone could never touch. There is a release of protection over your steps. What once intimidated you loses its influence. What once followed you in silence loses its access. What once entered your thoughts without permission loses its authority. You begin to discern what is mine and what is not. You begin to recognize the difference between spiritual attack and spiritual direction. You take back territory in your mind, in your emotions, in your decisions, in your sense of identity. You feel your courage rise. You feel your peace stabilize. You feel your purpose breathe again. Here is the prophetic plot twist. The Psalms you listened to were never the final destination. The true transformation was always meant to happen inside you. The Psalms are the bridge, but you are the restoration. You are the one I have been rebuilding. You are the one I have been protecting. You are the one I have been calling back to life. When you listen without failing, you become aligned with the future I designed for you. Cycles break, doors open, strength returns. The restoration you thought was impossible becomes the story you begin to live. Before we close, write this prophetic phrase in the comments section to give legality to what heaven is doing in your life. God, transform me through your word and lead me into the future you prepared for me. And if this message has touched your spirit, subscribe and like this video so that YouTube understands this content is not harmful and allows it to reach more lives in need of restoration.